After recording the last video at the Ambassador Bridge, I figured let's do the Gordie Howe Bridge this time. Why not? And we're talking about Jack White, the Lazaretto album. I hope you guys are enjoying these location ones. If you are, let me know down in the comments below. Also drop me a like. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed yet. Anyways, let's get into the album. Jack White, obviously Detroit boy, hence I'm on the Canadian side of these bridges, so you can see how close I am to the Detroit music scene. All right. Not that this album was recorded in Detroit at all. All right. The album opens up with 3 women. Good tune, strong, gets the album going perfectly. Now, basically, this album boils down to like 4 types of Jack White songs. You have the more heavy White Stripes kind of sound, a lot more guitar driven with that drenched, really distorted guitar sound that Jack is famous for. 3 Women falls under that. But then you get the other songs on here which have that more folksy kind of element to them, like early White Stripes kind of songs, like Hotel Yorba and a couple other ones similar to that. Then you got a couple on here that have that very much raconteurs kind of sound to it, big, full, wonderful kind of sound. And then you got some on here that just sound like, Jack White as he's been on his own kind of thing. Lazaretto is the one that kind of falls on that Jack White since he's been on his own kind of thing. It really does have this vibe to it that, you don't really hear on any other albums from any of the other bands. It's kind of been a little more exclusive to just Jack doing a solo thing. It's got the guitars and that in there and whatnot, but it's the overall vibe to it. It's kind of like electrified older folk music, traditional kind of music. If the camera's wobbling, my apologies. It's the stand that it's on out here in the wind. Temporary Ground, I'm not huge on this one. It's okay. That would fall, I believe, under more of the mellower. Would You Fight for My Love? I actually really dig this one. This is the first song on this album that, for me, really kind of stands out, really has a good pop to it, really, shines. Then that goes in the instrumental Highball Stepper, which I love every time I listen to it. I think Highball Stepper might be my favorite song on the album. Just One More Drink, definitely more of that traditional kind of vibe, along with Alone in My Home and Entitlement. That Black Bat Licorice, another one, really always stood out right from the get-go on this one. This is another one where it's got kind of that more Jack White solo kind of sound, where it doesn't sound like anything else he's ever really done. It just kind of sounds like what you'd find on his solo albums. I think I Found the Culprit's not a bad tune either, and then the album finishes with One Able, which isn't too bad either. I'm definitely downplaying the more traditional, folksy kind of sounding songs, and the reason why is when it comes to this album, I was really hoping for something more lively than I got with this one. And it's really kind of weird and interesting how my vibes fell with this one, because it came out in 2014. I bought it as soon as it came out. My band was going pretty heavy duty at the time, and because of that, while I was listening to new music and buying new music, I wasn't investing myself into it. I was focused more on my own music. So this one kind of got pushed to the side for a little while with me, and even going back to it later on, I realized the other reason I kind of pushed it to the side is just it's It's a Sunday afternoon one. It's a little bit later in the afternoon Sunday, but it's a little too much of a Sunday afternoon album for me and what I was looking for Jack White at the time. Even now when I listen to Jack White, when he gets into the more folksy, traditional kind of sounding songs, I kind of tune out a little bit, you know. They just don't work for me as well. I always had a problem going back to the White Stripes. However, that being said, there is no such thing as a bad Jack White song. For me, it's all about mood. And if you were in that Sunday afternoon, chilled out, you don't mind if you got a little bit, you know, heavy kick to it or whatnot, this isn't bad. But otherwise, it is truly a Sunday afternoon album for me. That's the best way I can describe this one. And for those of you that don't know, for me, a Sunday afternoon is the type of, you know, album you put on, you know, around noon, you know, starting even at 11 o'clock in the morning. You line up a bunch of albums in your CD player, you get a bunch of vinyl ready, and you just kind of go through them throughout the day, the more mellow kind of stuff, you know. Crash Test Dummies is a band I've mentioned with this in the past. City in Colors, another one that I would classify as a Sunday afternoon band. Krista Berg, you know, just your more mellow kind of stuff. A little more acoustic-y, a little more chill, you know. And as far as that goes, this is a fantastic Sunday afternoon album. Yeah. Anyways, folks, I'm going to leave that one there. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. If you haven't already let me know about the locations. Once again, Gordie Howe Bridge. You had the Ambassador Bridge and the Kid Rock Devil Without a Cause review. I might pop around and do a little more as I explore some more Detroit-centric albums. I might, or Detroit-centric artists. I might do a few more where I do these. Let me know what you think. I might do some locations when I'm doing some road tripping this year. Who knows? We'll see how it goes. Anyways, folks, comment down below. Let me know. Please and thank you. All right. Otherwise, folks, like button, subscribe button, bell for notifications. A couple links worth checking out. Peace, love, take care.